Hi, I'm Fiona. I'm going to be reading this morning from the Gospel of John, chapter 20, starting at verse 24. Now Thomas, also known as Didymus the twin, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hand. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." This is the word of the Lord. Thomas is probably my favourite of the male disciples. I don't know if it's okay to have favourites, but he would probably be mine. I grew up in a Christian home. My parents are still followers of Jesus. And yet I like to say that they gave me the gift of doubt. When we were around 2, we moved, and the new church that we became part of was one where my parents didn't always feel completely at home. The worship style was very different. There were theological differences that they didn't like. And although my mum is a really natural and gifted preacher, this was a church that didn't believe that men and women were equal. And so Sunday lunches became this place for our family, for discussion and debate, for unpicking everything that had been said and done. It was a place for questions, a place for doubt, also a place to hold all the ways in which we felt hurt by that experience. And I'm so grateful for that legacy, for that gift of doubt. Maybe that sounds really strange to you. The church is a place that celebrates faith, belief, trust, not doubt. But I think this story of Thomas shows us that faith that questions is faithfulness. He is often called Doubting Thomas, but I think I would like to rename him today to Brave Thomas, because it takes such courage to be able to name your doubts and your questions, particularly to name them publicly, like Thomas did. Thomas was hurting. He was grieving. He was angry. He was in pain. He had seen his master, his teacher, his friend be crucified only a few days before. Another friend had committed suicide in shame and guilt. And there was no sense of certainty about the future whatsoever. And so when his friends declare something to him that seems too good to be true, his heart is too broken to hold on to that belief. I think in the church we've often heard his refusal to believe as stubbornness, as ignorance or foolishness. But what if it was pain? What if it was grief? What if it was woundedness? All Thomas can do is see the wounds of Jesus when he closes his eyes. And so I almost feel he's not asking for proof in this moment. It's that it's too hard to hope that what he saw happen to his best friend could possibly be undone. Thomas doesn't leave though. I want you to see this in that story. When Jesus returns a week later, Thomas is still there. He hasn't turned away from this community of followers. He remains, but he is hurting. And so Jesus comes into the room again. And there's no telling off. There's no judgment. There's no disappointment. Jesus says, "Come, feel my hands, feel my side. He offers Thomas the gift of touch and the gift of solidarity. Here, Thomas, you are wounded and hurting. See, I am wounded too. I was wounded for love. I was wounded for you. Here is the staggering truth. The place of woundedness is the place of healing. Thomas's doubt, my doubt, is a gift because it makes space for Jesus to enter into the sometimes hidden woundedness that is within all of us, and to bring healing and to bring peace. St. Thomas's feast day is now on the winter solstice in the middle of December. And I don't think it's an accident that they gave him the longest night of the year. Life can feel very dark sometimes, and particularly now. And yet Jesus is with us in the darkness. He sees our woundedness, and he offers us the gift of touch. That touch that pulls us close, holds our pain like a mother would hold her hurting child. We are wounded and we are resurrected. And the paradox of this life is discovering that both those things are true at the same time, just as they were for Jesus. My Lord and my God, Thomas says. It's as if in Jesus' love and his compassion, Thomas has refound the possibility of hope and the possibility of healing. I want to invite you to pray with me. Where you are in the stillness, maybe just close your eyes for a moment and reflect on what this story might have for you today. Where do you need to welcome the gift of doubt in your life? The questions. Where can you bring those questions to God? What woundedness within you do you need to name? First to yourself. And then maybe to someone else that you trust. How today will you allow Jesus to hold you? To hold you in your pain. And to bring you peace and healing. Loving God, I thank you that you meet us in our woundedness, and that place of woundedness is the place of healing and becomes the place of resurrection. Thank you for your Son, Jesus, who does not meet us with disappointment, with criticism or judgment, but who welcomes us in and holds us. Who shows us, see, I was wounded too. I was wounded too for love of you. God, would you wrap us up in that love today? In all the places that we are hurting, grieving, questioning, doubting, would you be present to us in those spaces? And show us the possibility of healing and hope for the future. God, would you be resurrecting us right now? In the name of your wounded and resurrected Son, Jesus. Amen.